dar și decidenții naționali să acționeze în consecință pentru a rezolva această problemă a accesului la educație și mai ales a îmbunătăți calitatea educației digitale. Un apel semnat de zeci de europarlamentari din mai multe state membre și din mai multe grupuri politice, pentru că eu cred că atunci când este vorba despre educație, nu ar trebui să ne gândim la politică, ar trebui să ne gândim la ceea ce ar trebui să facem împreună, la ceea ce putem face împreună și mai ales să acționăm, pentru că de educație depinde viitorul generațiilor următoare și depinde, de ce nu am putea spune, viitorul nostru. În această logică, acest apel a fost trimis către Comisia Europeană, dar și către statele membre prin Consiliu și deja Comisia Europeană a avut o reacție pozitivă la acest demers inițiat de Parlamentul European, demers pe care l-am lansat, oferind pe de o parte un răspuns, dar deja inițiind o serie de discuții și acțiuni concrete pentru a oferi o soluție europeană la această problemă. În acel apel erau menționate o serie de subiecte, precum crearea unei platforme europene în domeniul educației, finanțarea din fonduri europene a accesului la educația digitală și îmbunătățirea platformelor existente. Era vorba despre accesul la infrastructură pentru accesul la educația digitală. Mă refer aici la dispozitive, la tablete, la laptopuri și o să vedeți în cursul zilei de astăzi câteva inițiative interesante. De fapt, era vorba de o serie de demersuri coerente care pot fi realizate la nivel european și care, evident, trebuie să fie gestionate în consecință. Tot în această logică am căutat într-adevăr să scot în evidență și ceea ce se poate întâmpla la nivel național. Pentru că este clar că în România există carențe în ceea ce înseamnă accesul la educație și mai ales accesul la educație digitală. La un moment dat chiar am avut acest sentiment și o spun foarte deschis, că educația digitală avea tendința să devină un privilegiu. Ori educația, chiar și ea sub formă online sau digitală, nu ar trebui să fie un privilegiu. În această logică am interpelat împreună cu alți colegi Ministrul Educației, Ministerul Educației, Guvernul României, oferind soluții. De exemplu, faptul că în alte state europene deja sunt demarate proiecte cu fonduri europene, inclusiv achiziționarea de tablete din fonduri europene, nu din fonduri naționale. Faptul că există state care au platforme de educație pe care le oferă gratuit statelor care nu au astfel de platforme. Ori noi astăzi nu avem o astfel de platformă națională cu conținut educațional la nivel național. Tot în această logică am scos în evidență și exemple interesante, noi, inovative, cum este cazul în Grecia, unde operatorii de internet oferă acces gratuit la aplicații educaționale pentru utilizatori. Adică, practic, ai o tabletă, ai un telefon, ai un laptop, poți folosi o aplicație educațională fără ca acest lucru să te coste. Ceea ce e interesant. De fapt, sunt multe exemple și le-am prezentat de-a lungul timpului pentru că exemplele europene ne pot fi utile și ar trebui să le folosim în consecință. Tot în această logică a acțiunilor care trebuie să fie realizate. Am discutat cu diferiți deținători de interese, sindicate, asociații de profil, asociațiile elevilor, studenților, căutând soluții și sunt foarte multe soluții. De fapt, ceea ce am remarcat și probabil ați remarcat și dumneavoastră este că există în piață foarte multe inițiative private și neguvernamentale care ar putea să fie folosite într-o manieră eficientă de către actorii guvernamentali. În definitiv, suntem cu toții împreună. De aceea, astăzi, pe parcursul conferinței, o să vedeți invitați din diferite zone decizionale și diferite zone neguvernamentale, pentru că am încercat să aducem pe toți împreună în jurul nevoii de a identifica soluții pentru a îmbunătăți educația digitală la nivel european, dar și la nivel național. Practic, încercăm astăzi să venim cu o serie de soluții. O soluție chiar va fi prezentată, o soluție pe care am inițiat-o împreună cu diferiți deținători de interese. Am inițiat, practic, ceea ce denumim generic o tabletă românească. De fapt, e o soluție, o serie de soluții informatice existente, da, pe care le-am combinat în așa fel încât tableta, pe care o vedeți și aici, să devină un instrument educațional. Adică nu este suficient doar să dai o tabletă sau să dai un laptop copiilor care nu au. Este important să transforme această infrastructură într-o infrastructură educațională care poate fi ușor de folosit de către copii și de către cadrele didactice. Un proiect care are, evident, o dimensiune doar socială, lansată cu o serie de actori care vor fi prezenți pe parcursul zilei de astăzi, cu care o să discutăm despre ce se poate face mai departe. Pentru că lucrurile încă nu sunt foarte clare. Avem cifrele Ministerului Educației care subliniază că există 250.000 de persoane, de copii, care nu au acces la dispozitive conectate la internet. De cealaltă parte avem studii care sunt mai bine realizate, studiul IRES, care arată că este vorba de aproximativ 900.000 de copii care au un acces limitat sau nu au deloc acces la astfel de dispozitive sau o conexiune permanentă. Lucrurile clar indică faptul că există carențe. Nimeni nu se așteaptă la soluții miraculoase, dar se așteaptă la un demers comun și mai ales la capacitatea de a asculta. Am invitat la această conferință și decidenți la nivelul Ministerului Educației, sper să fie prezenți, și decidenți la nivel european. Acum, revenind ușor către ceea ce ne interesează, eu în același timp cu ceea ce prezint în această parte a conferinței, o să avem invitați și trebuie să vă spun că dezbaterea are două părți. O parte în limba română și o parte în limba engleză. Practic avem un program foarte vast și o să-l prezint în linii mari în limba română și o să trec imediat în limba engleză. Avem o deschidere a conferinței, pe care am făcut-o chiar acum. Avem o serie de mesaje introductive din partea Comisiei Europene, din partea Parlamentului European. Va dura aproximativ 15 minute. Avem reprezentanți din diferite grupuri politice. Ulterior avem, începând cu 11:30, Educația Digitală în Europa, diferiți stakeholder, oameni care cunosc domeniul acesta al educației, din nou dezbatere în limba engleză, urmând ca ulterior să facem lansarea acestui proiect social, acestei tablete educaționale, mergând către două alte dezbateri despre educația digitală în România și perspective și dezbaterea asupra educației digitale. Foarte mulți actori prezenți. O să încercăm să păstrăm timpul. Am alături de mine chiar și un mic semn. O să arăt din când în când speakerilor. Încercăm să fim cât se poate de clar. Înainte să intrăm direct în conferința de astăzi, vreau să spun că prin eforturile și cu susținerea colegilor mei din grupul social-democrat din Parlamentul European, am devenit raportorul unui dosar foarte important. Mă refer aici la construirea politicii europene în materie de educație digitală. Este o inițiativă a Parlamentului European, un raport extrem de important care vine să ofere o serie de răspunsuri ale legislativului european la această provocare și mai ales să ofere perspectiva Parlamentului European privind un document care urmează să fie lansat de către Comisia Europeană. Mă refer aici la planul de acțiune al Comisiei în materie de educație digitală. O să discutăm despre aceste aspecte. Acum, dacă îmi permiteți, o să trecem la partea de engleză. Am și niște căști, trebuie să le folosesc ca să aud speakerii și, evident, o să avem o interacțiune. În același timp, trebuie să vă spun că puteți intra pe slide.do. Aveți acolo totul deja afișat, puteți să puneți întrebările voastre. Există un cod pe care puteți să-l folosiți pentru a accesa conferința noastră. O să vi-l dăm pe parcursul conferinței. Este vorba de 76564, este codul pentru a pune întrebări. Avem deja foarte multe întrebări și vă mulțumim. O să căutăm să răspundem la aceste întrebări pe parcursul zilei de astăzi. Și de îndată, îmi folosesc și căștile ca să pot să aud evident ce vorbesc ceilalți speaker și o să începem discuția. O să trecem în engleză. Avem prima parte până la 12:15. Dezbaterea va avea loc în limba engleză. So I will switch to English because of course it is important also to be understood by our colleagues and our friends and our guests for today. It's a conference about digital education in Europe. It's again an open debate, an online debate. Is new because again we have to deal with the current context and we have to adapt based on the current context. We are discussing about digital education in Europe, but also in Romania, how we can shape the future of digital education. And of course, there are different stakeholders at European levels that are involved in the process. And we have together with us here, and you probably can see them again, two guests. Again, we have Antoaneta Angelova-Krasteva, Director in the European Commission, exactly in the DG focused on education, youth, sports, and culture. And my good friend Petra Kammerwert, member of the European Parliament from the S&D Group from Germany. And of course, we are going to have another message coming from another member of the European Parliament. She couldn't be with us today, but she sent us a video message that we will show to you after the beginning of the conference. Hello, good to hear you. I'm really happy to have you with us today. We have a lot of followers again today on this online platform and at this conference organized together with the European Parliament office in Bucharest. I will start with Petra, if I'm allowed. She's a member of the European Parliament. She's coordinator of the S&D group in this special committee. She had different functions in the past, and she just worked on a very important document. Again, our view on the European education area. I think it's a very important document. Hello, Petra. Nice to see you. Can you tell us more about, again, how you see education, and especially digital education, in the upcoming weeks, and how is the situation at European level, and what should be done according to your perspective?
Hello, Victor. Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's really an honor to participate on this kind of conference and to see you in Bucharest now, and I'm in Düsseldorf in Germany. And dear guests, dear stakeholders, dear colleagues, 2 weeks ago I already participated in an online conference where I discussed educational policies in Europe. It's actually was the first time for me to speak at a conference from my apartment in Düsseldorf via digital platform, and I guess taking part in conference on the internet is something quite unusual as well for many of you. Beside of the political discussions taking place in digital conference rooms nowadays, the coronavirus also obliged our classrooms and teaching activities to go online. This crisis, generated by the spread of COVID-19, has led to the closure of educational institutions almost everywhere in Europe. The educational system had to shift mode of operation in order to adapt. Governments try to keep schooling afloat through alternative channels ranging from radio and television to virtual classrooms. Nevertheless, I suppose we have all made the same observation during the last very difficult weeks. The right to education is being threatened by the measures imposed due to the spread of COVID-19. Our educational system cannot cope at all with the current situation. Never before have we witnessed educational disruption on such a scale. The closure of schools have placed unprecedented challenges on teachers, students, caregivers, and parents to ensure learning continuity. Many of the parents are struggling to support their children in their new learning environment, often juggling between supervision, their own work, and household activities. Moreover, it is a huge lack in infrastructure, hardware and equipment, reliable e-learning software, training and digital skills, which makes it impossible for all stakeholders to rise up to the current challenges and succeed in digital education. COVID-19 has shown that the status quo created massive discrepancies among and within member states, and which is even more worrying, it deepens the divide among pupils to the detreatment of those coming from socially marginalized backgrounds and those living in poverty. They have even less means to acquire the necessary technical equipment for homeschooling, neither the money to pay an internet connection at home, nor the support of their parents. School closure are thus deepening inequality and will have longer-term consequences. In order to support the most vulnerable and in our educational system, some member states have already taken support measures. In my home country, Germany, for example, the government has decided to allocate a sum of 115 euros to every pupil in need in order to reduce the financial barrier in acquiring homeschooling hardware. Today, Romania will launch a similar project aiming to support the provision of educational tablet computers to all pupils and students living on poverty. This initiative, which is a result of a cooperation between several companies, civil societies, teachers, and public figures, will definitely make the life of many in need easier. However, these support programs can definitely not be enough. What we need today more than ever is a comprehensive strategy for digital education, e-learning and distance learning, which is inclusive, tackles disparities, and leaves no one behind. Besides the tablets and computers and stable internet connections, all persons concerned need to have the relevant skills. This does not only apply to pupils and students. It is just as much important that the teachers and educators have sufficient skills, but also the parents who have to help their children in homeschooling situations. With this in mind, I'm very much looking forward to the update of the European Commission's Digital Education Action Plan, currently foreseen for the beginning of July. I very much hope that the Commission will take the effects and findings of the Corona crisis in our educational systems into consideration when they will set out further measures to help EU member states meet the challenges and opportunities of education in the digital age. Boosting digital education alone can, in my point of view, however, not be the only solution. Technology cannot replace classroom teaching and the face-to-face interaction between students and teachers, and also between the students themselves. Boosting digital education alone can, education is about more than digital devices, platforms, and connectivity. It is also about the resilience of the human fabric, about emotional support, social activity, and human interaction. For me and my colleagues from the Socialists and Democrats and the European Parliament, it is therefore crystal clear that digital education should be addressed as a priority, but it must be accompanied by other measures aiming to improve our educational system and make them more resilient. We therefore support the European Commission's plan to create a European educational area by 2025. Education as a key channel for achieving social and economic progress we aspire to must be put at the very heart of the European political project. We want common goals and benchmarks for all member states regarding digital education, but also with regard to vocational training, lifelong learning, citizenship education, language learning, creativity, and others. Only together we are stronger. Moreover, we demand that member states invest at least 10% of their GDP in education. Over the last couple of years, national governments have not made sufficient investments in our school and educational establishments. Throughout the Union, our children are being educated in rather poorly equipped schools. Now, the politicians all around Europe prepare the recovery from the Corona crisis. They should make sure that their response does not only focus on economy. And I can assure you that we as Socialists and Democrats will have a very clear view on this and will take care of this. Instead, I must include investment in the public service, such as education. Education must finally become a priority. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all a very great day and a fruitful exchange of ideas and opinions. And once again, warm greetings from Düsseldorf to Bucharest and to the whole Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Petra. I noted a couple of ideas that you underlined very well. Again, the lack of infrastructure, the need of benchmarks, the idea to not replace traditional education, and again, to have a recovery plan that also takes into consideration the future generation and the need to invest, of course, in infrastructure, but also in education, in the process itself. And of course, again, like you said very well, it's not about replacing traditional education. It's also finding complementary solutions in the current context. And of course, digital solutions can be part of education, of course, if we work together in identifying the best solutions. At European level, there are different positive examples. And again, I'm certain that the Commission is evaluating all of that. I was in touch with the Commissioner. Both of us were in touch with the Commissioner on this topic. She gave us several answers on that. We had recently a debate in the CAL committee with her on this topic and other topics as well. So this is why it's good that we have, of course, a representative of the Commission is Ms. Antoaneta Angelova-Krasteva, Director in the European Commission. Like I said, in the DG focused on education. We are happy to have you with us today. I hope you hear us and everything is fine. You heard some of our points of view on what should happen on digital education in Europe. And of course, we want to hear the position of the European Commission on this topic. Tell us a little bit what is planned to happen, what has already been done. Tell us a couple of ideas about the upcoming action plan that everyone is waiting for. I'm certain that you have some insight that can be useful for us. And thank you again for being with us today. It's very important for us, and we are glad that the Commission is present at a debate organized from the European Parliament's office here in Bucharest. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you can hear me.
Yeah, everything's fine.
All right, thank you very much. Once again, good morning, everyone. And I would like first to address the honorable members of the European Parliament, but also to congratulate all other participants and the followers of this online conference. Let me start first by extending the very warm regards of Commissioner Gabriel, who unfortunately could not join today's conference due to other commitments, but it is indeed my pleasure to participate in this online conference, and I would like to thank you, Mr. Negrescu, as well as the Liaison Office of the European Parliament in Romania for organizing this event. It goes without saying that this is the moment actually to discuss how digital technology can support education. And in that regard, let me refer also to the open letter from 28 members of the European Parliament sent to the President of the Commission, Mrs. von der Leyen, as this letter certainly raises very pertinent issues as they relate to the support provided to learners and educators, and especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds in this challenging period. I'm also happy to learn that the CULT Committee is planning to prepare a report on the topic of digital education policy, and I would like to also stress the Commission's openness and willingness to cooperate in this process. Of course, we all still need to analyze the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on our economies and societies, including in the field of education and training. That said, we already know the immediate challenges posed by the crisis, as already underlined by Mrs. Kammerevert. The challenges that were actually posed on our education and training systems. In particular, the pandemic forced schools, universities, and training centers to close and turn to digital technologies overnight as a way to ensure the continuity of the education process. And this unprecedented switch has been an immense stress for the whole system. The ministries of education are overwhelmed with the plethora of online platforms. For many teachers, this was the first time to switch to online learning. Many students has found it difficult to adapt, and especially it's been very difficult for students from disadvantaged backgrounds, as they had to continue the education process with difficulties that are faced in terms of either poor connectivity or even lack of connectivity, or due to lack of digital equipment or lower skills or insufficient support in the home environment. So the Commission has reinforced its efforts to support education systems in these unusual circumstances, and Commissioner Gabriel has been in regular contact with the ministers of education. As a result of their discussions, a dedicated online platform, Distance Learning Network, was created for the ministries in order to exchange experience and practice in addressing the challenges posed by the crisis. And a number of free learning resources managed by the Commission, but also part of Erasmus and the Horizon 2020 funded projects, have also been published on the website of DGX of the European Commission. Also within the competencies, the Commission has also mobilized the funding through the Coronavirus Response Investment Initiative, which introduced more flexibility to member states to use cohesion funds in response to the emerging needs that are related to the current crisis, and which also includes the field of education and training. What is evident is that the pandemic crisis has served as a catalyst, amplifying existing challenges in digital education, such as the limited digital readiness at the institutional level and the need to support the teachers in developing their digital competencies and designing and implementing also online learning. Preliminary results of a school education gateway survey point that almost 70% of the teachers had no prior experience in online education, and online learning is still seen as marginal education practice, while in fact it can be particularly useful for reaching remote areas or addressing teacher shortages beyond times of emergencies and disruptions. Access, inclusion, and equity remain major issues. Those with less or without infrastructure and access to digital technology are not benefiting fully from education or even not participating in all online learning settings. So the crisis particularly deepens existing inequalities based on socioeconomic background, location, and even gender, thus impacting the most vulnerable groups. So the Commission is certainly committed to continue the analysis of the impact of the current crisis and to take on board the lessons learned. Furthermore, the Commission will reflect them in the long-term vision for European education and training through the European education area, and in particular through the update of the Digital Education Action Plan. The renewed Digital Education Action Plan will build on the results of the current action plan, which is being still implemented by the end of the year, and which had received positive feedback from stakeholders, including from the members of the European Parliament. So the current plan has already reached more than 37.5 million people through its various actions for this almost 3 years of implementation. With the new action plan, we will offer a more ambitious and comprehensive vision for education in the digital age, while building, as already said, on the lessons learned during the current pandemic crisis. The action plan will put at the center 2 underlying principles, which will lead us toward reaching our vision, namely inclusion and equity. And with the action plan, we will also focus on supporting the digital skills and competencies of all Europeans, regardless of their socioeconomic background or age. We need people to understand and navigate their way in this increasingly digital world in a confident, informed, and savvy manner. And with the world in industries becoming increasingly digitized, having a good level of digital skills is empowering and can be guaranteed for a better life and job prospects. The action plan will also actively promote digital education to become a reality for all. We will support education systems and institutions to develop their digital capabilities, which will include infrastructure and equipment, but also purposeful integration of digital technologies in education process and teacher training. Let me actually finish by saying that none of the future initiatives and actions can be truly successful unless we work all together towards a common goal of high quality and inclusive digital education. We can do together a lot to foster cooperation at European level, as well as to support and facilitate the exchange of good practices, knowledge and experiences amongst member states. Let me finish by expressing my best wishes for a very fruitful discussion today, and looking forward to continue our fruitful cooperation. Let me also wish all the best and a lot of success of the launch of today's project, which refers to the first educational tablet in Romania. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think your intervention was really important for us, again, presenting, let's say, for the first time in the case of Romania, more information about the upcoming action plan that the Commission is working on. And I'm really glad, of course, that we have a very good cooperation with the Commission on this topic, and of course with Commissioner Gabriel most especially. She was very open to the request made by the European Parliament, and again, I'm certain that together with her we can work very, very strongly in building a strong policy in the field. Again, education is not a European topic, but we are doing our best again to convince member states to push forward this important topic. And again, Commissioner Gabriel was several times in Romania. She knows very well the situation in the region, and I'm really glad that she's handling this topic. And again, like you said, there is a the problem of experience regarding, again, digital education. We are learning by doing, and this is key. We have to learn fast and do fast in the same time, and I think it's quite important what you mentioned. So dear Director Angelova, thank you so much for your intervention. Thank you, Petra, also for your intervention. I'm telling the viewers, of course, we are going to have a movie from Eva Meidel, member of the European Parliament from the EPP. So we have S&D, EPP, we have different stakeholders. I said that we invite everyone to have a debate, and we'll start with the second panel on digital education, different stakeholders. They are already present. They will be soon online. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will ask my colleagues to project the movie from MEP Meidel.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I am very honored to be able to address you today because the cause of education is very dear to my heart. So I would like to thank my colleague Victor Negrescu for starting such a meaningful initiative and with the launch of the educational tablet that will be available for students across the country. Congratulations, Victor, and all the stakeholders that stand behind these initiatives. In my own country, Bulgaria, we have also taken steps to modernize education and bring it up to the digital age. And I think the biggest push actually came through the COVID-19 crisis. Over a night, we managed to digitalize processes that were stuck in the pipeline for years. One of the reasons why I initiated an organization called Bulgaria Education 2030 a couple of years ago was because I exactly wanted to help support this innovative processes. And I'm glad that today we can see so many schools doing so well, and children, students and teachers feeling the satisfaction of their achievements. I think that COVID-19 has shown us that digital education is not a faraway goal, but it is a reality. It could be a reality, but we need equal opportunities, equal possibilities. So I'm glad that initiatives such as this one will enable more students to participate in the educational process, whether from afar or through the means that it will provide to them. Once again, best of success, and you have my full support on this initiative.
Coordinator on education lifelong learning from Solidar. They recently released a study on digital education. Andrew Todd, a policy and advocacy coordinator at lifelong learning platform. And not last, Adrian Barbaros, a member of the board of OBESU, which is a European network for, students, for pupils, and this is important. Again, we have all voices and with different expertise here, and we try to have an important debate. We have a lot of followers and a lot of questions, so what I will ask from you, if possible, again, is to have a short intervention and come back to what we need. I have here, again, a very digital message. I'm going to show you when you have 30 seconds. Again, intervention about 3 minutes, and again, plus and minus. and of course we can come maybe do a second round. I'm going to just introduce a couple of questions. Maybe this will help you in intervention as well, but I have to mention that. So we have again from the Technical High School here of Dinicu Golescu. They asked us what do we plan to do on professional learning, especially for students coming from rural areas. Again, this is important. How do we help them increase their digital skills? Another question from the National College, Mircea Scarlat. They ask us whether or not there is a European program to give access to digital devices at European level. We have another question from an NGO. They ask us whether, again, there are initiatives at European level in which people can get involved. I think it's important again to underline that. I think these are three, again, questions that can be taken on board in your intervention. I will introduce each of you each time and maybe add a couple of issues. So I will give the floor to Sandy Blanchet, Director from UNICEF of the Office for Relations with EU Institutions. UNICEF is very present also in Romania, and I'm glad she is with us today.
Good morning. Bună dimineața. Thank you very much, Mr. Negrescu, for this initiative and for inviting us to be part of this very interesting discussion. Of course, I will focus on Europe, but of course, this issue of digital and online learning and distance learning is an issue for us all around the world. And at this point, we do not have enough evidence to know the effect of school closures on the interruption of the COVID transmission, but we certainly have more and more indications of the adverse effects of school closure on children, on their well-being, on their learning, and even on their nutrition. So we know that interrupting education services is a problem in the short term, but also in the long term, for children themselves, for their future, but also for economies and societies. And we expect to see this negative impact in the coming months, but also years. So in Europe, we have about over 80 million students of all ages between the age of 3 and 18 who should be our school age, and who have been affected by the closure of their schools. Now we see that particularly in the past couple of weeks, a lot of schools have been reopening, and we hope this movement will continue, of course, if the public health data allow countries to do this. What the challenges are is that for us, we are not sure if all children will come back to school. And we know the most at risk. They are adolescent children, adolescents, boys and girls who could, in some cases, just drop out of the education system and look for jobs, particularly at a time when poverty is expected to increase in Europe. There are children who are already living in poverty and have no access whatsoever to digital learning. Children who live in remote communities, in villages that have no connection. Children belonging to minorities in Europe. It can be Roma children, but it could be also migrant children and children with disabilities. Now we're also looking at this crisis as maybe an opportunity. It could really, if we learn our lessons, if we invest during this crisis and after this crisis, then it could be an opportunity to improve our education systems in Europe. Because we firmly believe that digital learning and digital education should become a crucial part of the education system all over Europe. I think this crisis is really showing the impact of the digital divide in Europe and in the world, and also the importance of reducing it. And this digital divide exists between countries, between regions, so within the same country, and between children. So this is basically an issue of equity for Europe. And for us, the question is, how do we ensure that all children, whether they live in Stockholm or in a remote village in Romania, whether they live in poverty or in a well-off family, whether they speak the main language or minority language, whether they have a disability or not, how do we make sure that all these children have the same opportunities to learn and reach their full potential, because that's their right? We don't have data at this point, at this UNICEF does not, on how many children have been excluded from education, from the education system, from online classes, and how many are becoming more and more isolated And this isolation is of course there's a disruption of the learning, but as we know, children also need to interact with each other. The social interaction are super important for their development, starting at a very young age. So they also have that social isolation. And in addition, there are many children who get a free or subsidized meal at school. And so their nutrition is at risk. We have children who have stopped receiving that nutrition lunch, or as we have the program in Romania, the free breakfast. And we expect in all around the world, we expect a significant increase in malnutrition. We'll have to see what is the impact on children in Europe. We just heard about the new digital education plan, action plan for Europe. We are working with the Director General responsible for this. We see it really as an opportunity to put children's rights and empowerment at the center of this new education plan. Our recommendations, I will make just a handful of recommendations. Of course, there is no need for investing in digital infrastructure, and this investment needs to be equitable. So this is where Europe has the opportunity through its regional funding, for example, to really promote the equitable access to digital infrastructure across the continent. And there needs to be a focus on the most disadvantaged areas. But it's not sufficient. Having computers and internet is not what's going to solve the problem. We need to train teachers in developing and using this new tools. It's not just put a teacher in front of a camera and he or she will be an online teacher. And we've heard it, 70% of teachers do not have experience in digital learning. It's quite a challenge for even for Europe. And what we see it is as an opportunity for teachers to change their role. They're not just there to give the curriculum, to just recite the curriculum, but actually they can become co-creators of knowledge. It can also enable teachers and students to access specialized materials beyond textbooks in multimedia formats, etc. So this technology can support new ways of teaching and also new ways of learning. Children, when they are put in contact with digital learning, they become very active learners. They become involved in their own learning, and these are the tools that and skills that we need in the 21st century. The second point is we need adequate educational resources online. We need to look at what's happening around the world and find the best practices. The national curriculum will need to be revised, and we need to set up supports